Is the Canon 550ex Speedlight worth buying? Is it any good? Or is there a better alternative from Canon? That's what I'm talking about today. Greetings all. Today I just want to discuss a little bit about some equipment that I've bought recently-ish, and just to go over the reasons why I chose it and give a bit of an insight onto what it can do. So what is a 550ex? Well, basically the Canon 550ex Speedlite, it's a powerful high output flash featuring ETTL auto flash control. For those who don't know, is ETTL stands for evaluated through the lens. Features: ETTL and manual control, built-in diffuser, built-in wireless transmit up to 4 channels in 2 groups to control other slave devices, high-speed sync. This is really important. It's focal plane flash for flash synchronization at all shutter speeds. Flash exposure lock, flash exposure bracketing, and bounce flash. It's got a multi-angle head, 90 degrees up, 180 degrees left, and 90 degrees to the right. Don't ask me why it's only 90 degrees to the right, but there we have it. You can't buy these new anymore. Canon stopped producing these, I think it's around about 3-4 years ago, possibly a little bit longer. So you can only buy these used. It's also a big unit. It's quite a size compared to a lot of modern flashes, like the 430ex from Canon and the 600ex from Canon. They're a lot smaller. The 600 itself, I'll discuss a little bit more later, but it's got all the same features of this, it's just smaller. But for this one of the things that I did find with it is it's quite heavy compared to a lot of modern flashes as well. If you're holding it on its own, it doesn't feel too bad. But once it's on a camera, you've got the weight of your camera and the flash, you do notice that extra weight. Okay, so I want to explain what is meant by the term crippled hotshoe. You'll hear a lot of Canon users using this term, so I'll explain to those who don't know what it is, what it is. In Canon's wisdom, what they decided they was going to do on their modern entry-level and mid-range cameras was to remove the center firing pin. So this is an old 350D, still use this one. So you've got 4 pins and your center firing pin. But on the modern one, you've only got the 4 pins. You do not have the center firing pin. So basically what this means is if you go and buy a third-party flash like this one, which only has the center firing pin, it will not work on the crippled hotshoe. It will work on this one, but not on this one. So basically what they've created is a situation where people can't buy third-party Speedlites for their cameras. Now, this doesn't go for all. It's a lot of the cheaper variants. And you all know yourself that the third-party market is huge for buying camera equipment. And so they've created a bit of an issue where you have to buy the expensive end of the third-party Speedlite market because they are the ones that will have the 5 pins. Now, not all of them that may have the 5 pins will still work on the crippled hotshoe. They have to have a certain software update in the Speedlites. There are a few companies out there that do them, but for the price you're going to pay, you may as well buy the 550ex. So hopefully that's going to clear up a little bit there of the crippled hotshoe and your alternatives, because to be fair, there isn't much, and it's very bad of Canon to do that. So naughty Canon. But there are ways around it, as I have found, and it's the reasons why I bought the 550ex. Yes, it's big, yes, it's heavy, yes, it's old, and yes, you can't buy it new anymore, but it's a flipping awesome flash. It works well. It hasn't let me down. It's full of all the features that I need, and it was bloody dirt cheap. If I'd actually had a little bit of time, I think I would have actually gone and bought the 600ex, because they will work on the Crippled one, on the Crippled hot shoes, because they are basically the 550ex is just smaller with a little bit more tech involved. But at the time, I didn't have the funds to buy even a second-hand 600ex, because they are around about £200 to buy a used one, is where the 550s are about 40 to 60, and I needed two. So I had a choice of getting one, which had gone way over budget, or buying two when I needed the two. So I chose that option. So basically what I'm saying on this one is, if you're on a little bit of a tight budget, you've got a Crippled hot shoe on your Canon, is get the 550ex. £40–60 will get you virtually new. Both of these, there's not even a mark on them. And you'll get a flash that is outstanding in performance. It really is. One of the downsides is the wireless transmitter is infrared. It's not radio frequency. It's an infrared signal, which is from the front, which is 80 degrees. So if you're going to be using this to fire another device, it has to be within that 80-degree angle. I actually did put this to the test, and I'm going to say the 80-degree angle is not correct. It actually works out to be a lot more. Not a few degrees, it was more around about 120 degrees. The angle was actually a lot more than what it was actually stated in the manual. So I don't know why they'd put that in there. Maybe that was worst case scenario. I don't know, but it does. Both of these actually are a lot wider. But it is old technology, that is, as where more modern ones, this like the 600ex RT, is a radio transmitter instead of just a normal wireless infrared transmitter. Okay, so this is the 550ex. There's a close up there for it. So that's your swivel. That's for your left and for your right. So the weight of it is pretty heavy, and it gets even worse when you put the batteries in. It does take 4 AA batteries. I always use rechargeables, because when you put the non-rechargeable batteries in it, you know, after you've done your shoot, you're going to be throwing them away. So at least with this way, charge them up and use them again. One of the features I actually didn't mention on this is obviously you've got the batteries, but you've also got an external battery pack that you can actually plug in, which obviously lasts a lot longer than the normal batteries. So quickly put these in. 2, 3, 4. There we go, and the batteries are in. I'm not going to go over all the bells and whistles and all the functionalities of it. Basically, because I think most of the time a lot of people are just going to end up using this in automatic anyway. But it's just to give you a bit of a look and a few of the features that I like that I'm going to obviously go over with. So I'm just going to go over this first at the bottom here. Obviously this is for your wireless control. We've obviously got off, master and slave. So if this one was actually on the hot shoe of the camera, you'd set this one to the master. And then if you had another one set off to the side, which was probably on a bracket or on a tripod or something somewhere, then you obviously set that one to the slave. So just put that back into normal. Okay. Power on and off button, off, on, and SE. Basically what the SE is if you're not doing anything for a while, it powers down. And it's a simple press of any button and it will power back up again. It just saves the battery life of the unit that little bit longer. So we'll power it on. There we go. Powering up. Pilot light. So you'll see it went green and red. What that basically means is red, it is ready now to fire full. When it's green, it's half power. So you can still fire it, but it's only half its full power. This little indicator here, obviously when you're on, it's on your hot shoe, and if you took the shot and it's fired, this little light, if it goes green, it means it was the correct exposure. Which I think is really handy because then you know it got it right. Obviously, if it didn't light, then obviously think, let's just check that and probably take it again. Okay, a little bit on the side, it just illuminates the display. I don't know whether you can see that very well, but just illuminates the display. Mode, obviously, ETTL, bit of a tongue twister, try saying that when you've had a drink. And obviously, manual mode. And basically, we see on here as well, 35, but well, it's not on the camera at the moment. But when it's fitted on the camera, as you're changing your focal length, this changes too, and you'll hear a motor going as obviously it's moving the flash head back and forwards. And obviously you can set it manually as well. If so, I don't know if you can hear it, but you can hear it whirring away. Let's just put that back into, there we go. So yeah, it is a pretty nice unit. Obviously in manual mode, you can set the flash power. Yeah, quite a nice little unit. So I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of it. Basically, that's just because I've got a few tutorials and stuff that I'm going to be using this, which I'll go over the settings as we go along in that. So yeah, that's basically it, just very, very briefly. Lovely unit. And it's quite well worth the price. So just quickly, let's put it into master. So there you can see, you've obviously got channel numbers, which obviously you can change quite easily. So you can turn this flash off. So obviously it would fire another one, but this one wouldn't fire. Like I said, I'm going into too much detail here as it is already, am I really? Well, there we go. And then obviously if it was a slave, it would say slave. And I'll say you've got 4 channels, 2 groups, A and B. Nice little unit. So basically the 550ex is a good Speedlite if you're on a budget. It's got all the bells and whistles that you're actually ever going to need. However, if your budget is going to allow you, get the 600ex RT instead. Not just the 600ex, the 600ex RT instead. And if you want to see me using the 550ex, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to get some notifications, as I have got some tutorials coming up very soon. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.